Neo-behaviorism, Tolman and Bundura. Purposive behaviorism has also been referred to as sign learning theory, as often seen as the link between behaviorism and cognitive theory. Tolman believes that learning involves forming beliefs and obtaining knowledge and the environment, and then revealing the knowledge through purposeful and goal-directed behavior. Learning is always purposive and goal-directed. Tolman asserted that learning is always purposive and goal-directed. He held the notion that an organism acted or responded for some adaptive purpose. He believed individuals do more than merely respond to stimuli. They act on beliefs, attitude, changing the condition, and they strive toward goals. In his famous experiment, one group of rats was placed at random starting location in a maze, but the food was always in the same location. Another group of rats had the food placed in different location, which always required exactly the same patterns of turns from the starting location. He found out that the organism will always select the shortest or easiest path to achieve the goal. Latent learning is a kind of learning that remains or stays within an individual until it needed. It is learning that is not outwardly reinforced. He demonstrates this in his rat experiment, wherein rats apparently learned the maze by forming cognitive maps of the maze, but manifested this knowledge of the maze only when they needed to. Are variables that are not readily seen, but serves as determinants of behavior. Thurman believed that learning is mediated or influenced by expectations, perceptions, needs, and other internal or environmental variables. Example, in his experiment with rats, he found out that hunger was the intervening variables. Tolman concluded that reinforcement is not essentially for learning. Although it provides an incentive for performance, in his studies, he observes that a rat was able to acquire knowledge of the way through a maze, to develop a cognitive map, even the absence of reinforcements. Social learning theory focuses on the learning that occurs within a social content. It considers learning, imitation, and modeling. The 10-year-old boy Sergio Polanco did watch Saddam's execution of TV and then must have imitated it. Number 1. People can learn by observing the behaviors of others and the outcome of those behaviors. Number 2. Learning can occur without a change in behaviors. Learning has to be represented by permanent change in behaviors. In contrast, social learning theory says learner learns through observation alone. 3. Cognition plays a role in learning. Over the last 30 years, social learning theory has become increasingly cognitive in its interpretation of human learning. 4. Social learning theory can be considered as a bridge or a transition between behaviorist learning theory and cognitive learning theories. One. Contemporary theory proposes that both reinforcement and punishment have indirect effects on learning. They are not the sole or main cause. 2. Reinforcement and punishment influence the extent to which an individual exhibits a behavior that has been learned. 3. The expectation of reinforcement influences cognitive process that promotes learning. Therefore, attention plays a critical role in learning, and attention is influenced by expectation of reinforcements. Cognitive factors in social learning. 1. Learning without performance. Bundura makes a distinction between learning through observation and actual of what has been learned. Number 2. Cognitive process during learning. Social learner theories contend that attention is a critical factor in learning. 3. Expectation. As a result of being reinforced, people form expectations about consequences that future behaviors are likely to bring punishment. 4. Reciprocal cautions. Bondura proposed that behaviors can influence both environment and persons. 5. Modeling. There are different types of models. There are in the live model an actual person demonstrating behaviors. There can also be a symbolic model which can be a person or action portrayed in some other medium. Many behavior can be learned, at least partly through modeling. For example, that can be cited are students can watch parents with students can demonstrate a mathematics problem or see someone act bravely in a fearful situation. Number 1. Attention. The person must pay first attention to the model. 2. Retention. The observer must be able to remember the behavior that has been observed. One way of increasing this is using the technique rehearsal. 3. Motor reproduction. The third condition is the ability to replicate the behavior that the model has just demonstrated. 4. Motivation. The final necessary ingredients for modeling is to occur is motivation. 1. Modeling teaches new behaviors. 2. Modeling influences the frequency of previous learned behavior. 3. Modeling may encourage previous forbidden behaviors. 4. Modeling increases the frequency of similar behaviors. For example, a student might see a friend excels in basketball and he tries in football because he is not tall enough for basketball.